So you like those dance moves, do you, Brig?
Excellent. In fact, yes. You should teach classes.
Yeah. Okay. Teach classes.
Yeah.
Just trip and fall down.
Yes.
That's pretty much it. I'm Lex.
And I'm Brig.
Chris V2.
Chris is over there.
Chris is way over there doing phone a friend today.
We.
Hey. Okay. So SMB V1
V1.
vulnerabilities, guys.
It's in the news. A little bit
deal.
here and there.
It's big. Yeah, it is a big deal, and we'll get into it. First, I want to start out by saying this, guys. Warning here, okay?
Yeah.
Just because we show you to do something doesn't mean you should. You need to make sure it's right for you.
Yeah, this one's all on you.
Okay, so
We take
Yeah.
no responsibility. We're just giving you the info.
there's your disclaimer, guys. Okay.
There'll
Do
be
with it what you will.
there will be actually lots of warnings in this
so-
webcast.
What was Ned Pyle's words on it?
With the what?
On your blog.
Ned's words.
Ned's. From Microsoft.
Oh, Ned's words from Microsoft. Oh, there's a quote on there, but basically it's like you could actually end up killing somebody with this because if you have like a heart monitor or something like that running on XP and you disable SMB v1, you could actually shut that machine down or prevent it from communicating. That would be bad.
That would be bad.
Use
So-
at your own risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So first of all, Brig, what is SMB?
SMB is just server message block. It's just a way of, it's basically file and printer sharing.
Yep.
in
Communications, basically.
That's all that it is. So it's communicating Windows machine. XP in 2003 used SMB v1. SMB was actually created in 1990, I believe, and then adopted by Microsoft in 1992. So it's been around for a long, long, long time.
So V1 is what, 30 years old?
yeah.
And
yeah.
is a dinosaur, guys.
Yep.
With that, so why in the world are we talking about SMB v1 today?
WannaCrypt and WannaCry.
Which vulnerabilities, guys. So the simple thing in my mind is why don't we just turn it off, right? I mean, it's like if it's vulnerable, why don't we turn it off? And the reason we don't do that is
Because we don't know what's running SMB.
we don't know what's running. We don't. Devices,
Yep.
things still running XP, things like that.
Yep.
And just so you guys know, 12% of the internet traffic out there is still running SMB v1.
That's
So,
huge. Think about how big the internet is.
Yes.
12%.
That's a lot.
Chris, any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
All the thoughts are had on this. So this is 12% of accessible internet, not intranet. Lots of devices, lots of everything. Like there's so much surface area for this
Deep
potential
web.
attack here that you really need to consider the following. The WannaCrypt ransomware is just one of many to come that uses these vulnerabilities. In fact, WannaCrypt uses 2 known exploits that were released from the shadow brokers, from NSA hacking tools, for lack of a better term. But there's actually one that mimics WannaCry that uses 7 different exploits from the shadow brokers, and they are actually mimicking WannaCry to kind of ride the wave and hide in silence. But there's just, seriously, we can't possibly express how serious this is if you have anything.
It's a very scary thing.
Yeah.
Now, Briggs' blog is amazing, guys, and I have it up because it's just so good. You know, here's not a conclusive.
Just kidding.
That's the last time I compliment Brig ever. No, it's not an exhaustive list, but at the time of writing this, what we knew, this is what we put in. And again, guys, some of this has been verified, some of it's not. But again, Windows XP, a lot of your printers, some of the SANs, old versions of Samba. I guess Chris was mentioning earlier today, Samba came out with, what were you saying?
Yeah, they released really recently a patch that affects versions 4.6, 4.5, and 4.4, and everything else older than that. They said, sorry, not going to happen.
Please upgrade.
Please upgrade, use stuff that uses newer Samba, and this affects a lot of things out there that run on Samba.
Yeah.
So, you know, guys, there's a lot going on, I guess, with that. So,
Yep.
what are your thoughts, Brig?
Yeah, so the first thing you want to do is, of course, here's basically the balancing act that you're confronted with, is that on one hand, you've got SMBv1, which is terrible and awful and always, and then you've got SMBv1 disablement, which can also be awful and terrible and always. So to kind of mitigate that and to put the balance more in your favor, what you want to do is you want to look at what kind of traffic is running on your network. So you could have we mentioned a number of printers here. CNC machines is another one. I mean, I remember working not too long ago as an admin where our CNC machine was actually running a Windows 95 machine. And
Wow.
we couldn't even upgrade to Windows 98.
When was that?
Oh, that was 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was what? That was just a few years ago, yeah.
It was.
So it was, and there was no way of updating that. And then the company they were located overseas, so yeah,
Okay,
it's just one of those things.
You were mentioning keeping track of your network traffic, that kind of thing. Wireshark.
Wireshark is very good.
Okay,
Yes.
now Wireshark, we could probably do an entire webcast on Wireshark,
Several,
but
yeah.
let's just show you some of what Wireshark is going to do.
Yep.
It basically, you can capture packets and see what's inside them. And so how do you determine with Wireshark what version of SMB protocol you're using? Or at least it's negotiating this.
Okay, so you install Wireshark, and then you run Wireshark. You choose your adapter that you want to run it on. And first of all, I want to call out, thank you, Josh, for all of your help with this and
Yes.
for running Wireshark and getting us this information. He's
Absolutely,
really good at this.
anytime.
And so Wireshark, run it. Once you run it, and you'll get a lot of information very quickly. Because it's basically like if you've ever used TCP dump before, it's basically the same thing. And then you'll go ahead and you'll filter.
You filter. Now, Brig, I see SMB2 and SMB.
Yes.
Is that SMB1 right there at that point?
That is not SMB1.
What is
Do not
that?
be fooled by that. That is an SMB negotiation packet. So it will just be SMB. So it'll just be SMB.
Okay.
And then once the negotiation is done, then it will show which version it is, SMB2. And 3 is actually kind of like 2 dot question mark, question mark, question mark. So it's not really 3, it's just SMB2.
So do we have a
Filter.
filter photo of that?
Yeah, I kind of want to show this
Okay.
though too. So this is like if you actually look at the packet, and Josh and I were talking before the show, and one important thing too, even though that we include the filter for you in the blog article itself, which is actually right down here,
Ah, there it is.
right there, that TCP port, that. Then basically, you can also just right-click a packet and select display the target from that. So
Okay.
it'll create it for you. So you don't have to remember or copy and paste. And if you want to see something else that's different, you can just right-click that packet.
Okay, so what are we looking at here?
We're looking at Protocol 2.
Protocol 2, a server
So-
component SMB2. So I know at this point,
Yep.
right here, is that where I'm looking? SMB2, I'm good to go.
Yep. And it also shows up here. It also shows the version 2 on that as well.
okay.
So yep, that's good. And then this is your destination or your source and your destination. So those are just your IPs. Obviously, we've obfuscated those because we like to do
To protect the
obfuscation.
innocent?
And I just wanted to say obfuscation. So
Obfuscation. Okay.
All right. And then the next step is we can even do some. This is even some more deep into here, and where we can see down here where we've got 2.0 and 2 question mark question mark question mark. So basically, the way that SMB works is that SMB communicates with itself, and it will always choose the lowest common denominator. So if your Windows 10 host is an SMB3 or is operating on SMB3, but it's communicating with a Windows XP machine, it will downgrade and use SMB1 unless you've disabled that. If it's like Windows Vista is running 2, it'll downgrade to.
Since you have lowest common
SMB2,
denominator, so 2 Windows 10 machines?
Yep.
Version 3?
Yep.
Okay.
And you'll actually see, if you look at a negotiation packet between SMB, you'll see like LAN Manager and Windows for Networks 3.1 and NTLM and all of these different things. And at the very end, you'll see the SMB and the SMB 2.0 and the 2 question mark question mark question mark. Just, that's what
Let's take a question.
yeah.
Dear Lex and Brig, would it be more advisable to remove SMB1 only items from the network? History has proven old technology to be exploited more than once on several occasions. Sincerely, Jason A.
Hey, Jason.
So basically, if I understand this correctly, this would be just server message block version 1 only items. Like there's no, you haven't been able to upgrade
Remove the
anything.
actual devices
Yeah, the actual
themselves?
devices, they're not upgradable. You can't do anything with them. Obviously, that would depend on whether or not, like for instance, a CNC machine, which is
Could you actually do that and still run
$200,000.
business? That's the real question.
Yeah. Can you actually get rid of those? Can you upgrade them? CNC machines, for instance, again, $200,000 just to upgrade to something because of SMB. Probably a really good option would be to put those on a different VLAN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
that way.
really depends on the business you're in and what it's going to affect. Chris, any thoughts?
I'm going to come back to stuff that Ned Pyle, the owner of SMB at Microsoft, has mentioned about heart monitors. Is just throwing out an example. Certain things you might not be able to. If you can, fantastic, but consider.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, you can mitigate those problems in other ways, like put them on a different VLAN so they're not communicating at all with like your internal network.
Probably the biggest thing you can do to just protect yourself generally across the board, patch.
And
I mean, absolutely, you keep patched.
All three of those things.
Yeah. Okay.
all three of those.
What else we got, man?
All right, so those pretty much basically Wireshark. Again, we could spend a lot of time on Wire. Oh wait, no, I did want to show one more thing, and this would be what SMB packet looks like that is version 1. You'll notice here, I mean, obviously, when you're writing SMB the first time, you don't think that there's going to actually be versions. So this is what you will see when you look at a packet. This is the bad, evil darkness.
That's
right
the evil,
there.
dark,
Yeah.
bad, exploitable.
What makes it evil?
SMB?
But no, this specific
Oh, version 1?
version 1. And where do you? I guess do you see version 1 here? or
Oh,
is
no,
that
no,
just
that's the thing, is that
that's
because you don't actually see, we'll see a version 1 because when you're writing software the first time, you're not like, well, this is just going to be a version 1 of
Yeah.
whatever I'm writing. So it's just SMB. So that's just your basic SMB protocol. So that's what you're looking for, is just this. If you just see that, that is SMB version 1.
So
Because you will always see SMB 2 or SMB 3, or actually 2 dot question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah.
for 3.
Oh, and
so this basically lets you know you do have an attack space of vulnerability at this point.
And there's also, if you want to, if you're running Windows 10 or Windows 2016, you can also use the Microsoft Message Analyzer. It's a new tool that's been released with Server 2016 that operates a lot like Wireshark, and it'll provide you just as much extensive information as Wireshark in a little different format that's a little bit easier to go ahead and use. So that's available. It's in the bonus content. So if you want to look at how to use that to detect SMB as well as download the Message Analyzer, you can do that. And I installed it, and it's pretty slick.
Oh, there we go. Excellent. So at this point, things to help you guys identify your exploited areas and spaces. We built, Chris has built a WannaCrypt collection in that. So we'll bring Chris up
Hop up
to
there,
explain that. And so if you use Enterprise Inventory, or did we make this available for Pro till the end of the month? I think we might have.
Till
I
May
think we did.
31st.
May
yes.
31st, guys.
So
So
do it now.
buy now, beat the rush. There you go.
That's what it is. So because WannaCrypt's been so everywhere in the news, it's actually still just a minor problem of SMB1, just because it uses SMB1 to get there and do all the ransomware fun stuff, which, side note, it encrypts so many things. I think last I checked was something like 180 different file types. I mean, be careful. But we added these so that you can be aware of what machines are patched, not patched. What we do is we're essentially just doing a regular expression. We talked about this last week, I believe, of all the different KBs for the March specific patch, as well as Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10 cumulative and roll-up patches, and recently even updated to add the preview roll-up
No kidding.
patches as well to make sure that those are covered as well. And so you should be able to get a good insight of what machines are patched and not patched, all the way up through Windows 10, 1703, although 1703 by default actually doesn't have this issue, but WannaCrypt, that's mostly targeted Windows 7. But
So there's the ones we left in our lab so we could show you guys these have vulnerabilities.
yes, and so please check them out. Please use them. Be aware, though, that we've actually had some customers running into some issues with updates in general,
Okay.
and it's not immediately visible when scanning because of how WMI works. If they have an issue with WMI and it's not really apparent, there's some tools that we can do. There's some commands that you can run to actually see that WMI is not working. But the quick one, and I'm going to show this real quick, is just
Okay.
pick a machine that you suspect is not working properly. If you run a remote command on this guy, so let's go Tools, Remote Command. All the hotfix information that we're pulling from is in the WMI class Quick Fix Engineering.
This is a fast way to tell if you need to repair your WMI.
Engineering,
So
effect spell.
When I'm not even gonna try and read that, Chris.
Yeah, so essentially we're just basically see, can you list stuff from this WMI class?
class.
If you get valuable data back that looks like legitimate data, you're good. If you get something back or you go run this locally on the machine and it says something like no instance found or something similar, that means you need to probably rebuild your WMI.
Yep, very true. Let's take a question.
Yeah.
Oh, great Lex and Chris. Any other older technologies besides SMBv1 we should scan for with inventory or patch with PDQ that can be exploited similar to the SMBv1 exploit? Sincerely, our friend Darrell S.
Hi.
That's a really big kind
wide
of broad
question.
question. Yes, patch everything with PDQ deploy. that goes without saying. Okay, I mean, boom. Other technologies, SMBv1. I mean, we put a list out of things that we know at this point. I mean, I guess part of our survey is, do you guys have things that you know of that need us that are using SMBv1?
Yeah, so here's kind of my take on this.
Chris?
You look at
I think we're kind of looking for what other things other than WannaCrypt can be exploited with SMBv1. Like what other attack vectors kind of follow SMBv1?
Okay, thank you. If that's the case, then WannaCrypt is just the beginning, and it's actually relatively mild. there's a current known, mind you, this is known, not unknown, threat out there known as Eternal Rocks, which makes use of several of these. In fact, I actually have those. Let me see if I can pull that up. Makes use of 7 of the different exploits that the NSA had those fancy things created for. And let me just pull this up real fast, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is one of those things it may or may not be in the news soon, but just to get ahead of it.
Okay. So, this right here, WannaCry used the Eternal Blue and Double Pulsar exploits. This is just what they used. Eternal Rocks uses those in addition to several more, all focused on exploiting SMBv1. So, here's the problem. WannaCry used its attack vector to put ransomware on your machine to ask for money. This Eternal Rocks one is not doing anything. As of this moment, there's nothing going on. But now, it's there, it's on your system, you have no way of detecting it because it's not doing anything. What's going to happen? What's it going to do? We don't know.
The vulnerability is there, but the exploit has not been, exploited.
It can do anything at this point, is what it really boils down to. And that's scary. You should be scared of this if you're managing different networks because of what they can do, the data they can harvest, the damage they can do. I mean, there are just so many different things that can happen once they have this foothold in your company.
It's kind of like, you keep the fox out of the hen house, you're good to go, but once the fox is in, it's a lot harder to get them out.
Right. At that point, the damage has been done.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So patch, as Lex said. That's so important. Those patches are there because they're fixing, usually, bugs, which include different exploits, different vulnerabilities that software has. So please
You got another question?
Dear Lex and Chris, instead of disabling SMBv1, is there a way to force v1.0 protocol to communicate over version 2.0 and above? Sincerely, Brandon B.
Go for it.
Hi, Brandon. Short answer, no. That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
You might have a hardware or software that actually allows you to pick and choose, in which case, yes, you can change it. For example, I believe a lot of the different NASs out there, I think we were looking at some Synology NASs out there, but by default, I think they are set to SMBv1. They can go up to SMBv3, which I think is the same stack as SMBv2, I mean, like you were mentioning a little bit earlier, Brig.
It is, yeah.
And so, but by default, it's not. So you can change it, but you cannot force SMBv1 traffic to communicate
over version 2.
Over version 2. It just doesn't work that way.
Nope.
Good question.
Yeah. So anything else on WMI, Chris?
That's more or less it. Just be aware that because cumulative updates and roll-up updates, they supersede the previous one, in that WMI class, when you actually look for it, people are really hyper-focused on finding the March update because that's when we patched SMB1, AV1, Microsoft did. Well, if you have April preview or April or May,
you're good to go.
Yeah, and you're not going to see the March one because it supersedes it. It's still there in the log. Look at my blog I wrote a little while ago. It actually shows you how to enumerate using the Windows Update Searcher or whatever, the Update API. That goes through and lists what's been installed, what failed, what succeeded. You can take a look at that. It's awesome. So, anyway.
Well, should we take a look at Katie's packet of destruction?
Ooh, we should.
So, Katie, love her. She's an amazing asset to our team here.
Yep.
Has written a package. Now, while Briggs pulling that up, I, again, am going to give you the warning, all right?
Caveat emptor.
Okay.
Yes.
Just bad things can happen if it is used incorrectly.
It's a package
make sure
that you could deploy to everything.
And it's...
Imagine the destructive power that you hold. Okay. Yes.
Look at Briggs' shirt.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
what will happen. When we say use at your own risk is
seriously
not just it's not
all
something to be
caps,
taken
bold,
lightly.
red. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I think there's a warning right here in this.
And actually, when I was off screen, Stephen Valdinger actually brought up a really good point about the message analyzer. Because it's the message analyzer and it's written by Microsoft, you can see a lot of the traffic that goes through unencrypted, including passwords, usernames. He used the example of a JPEG. You can actually see the data as it goes through. So it's one of those things where you definitely want to use it be judicious. Yes, that is the correct word. Be judicious in your use of the message analyzer because a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, that's
last warning.
Okay.
Until the next one. All right.
Yep.
Use at your own risk. Brig.
30 seconds till the next warning.
Let's
All right,
break it down.
Here we go. Okay, here we go. So at the bottom of the blog, there is a link to an XML file. That XML file will link to this particular this package of destruction. All right. So this is the properties. Pretty basic. Use at your own risk. There's the link here again. There's a link here that will take you to all of the steps that are done and within this package, so you can double check and just make sure that they're correct. But of course they are, because Katie did it. Here, we're just going to check for Exchange servers and DCs. Chris is actually going to go over this in a minute and just kind of let you know what that does.
Why are we doing
There's
that?
some addition. Because we do not want to disable DCs. We don't want to disable DCs at all. And Exchange servers, it would be really bad to lose authentication to your Exchange servers and not be able to do anything. So
And very hard to repair.
Yeah,
we'll
very hard.
leave that to Chris. in a
yeah,
minute
Chris will
here.
let us know the other part of it, which is not, you can only lose life, but yeah, anyway,
All right.
we'll leave it to him. Okay.
So next.
Okay, so the next step on this one is add registry key to disable the SMB version 1. And you'll see here in the conditions that we're actually checking for certain things. So we're putting a registry condition that this doesn't exist. And
Sorry, let me make that
yeah,
better. All right.
all right. Okay, and then we've put some conditions here. Basically, we're just going to add this in for everything except for XP in 2003, because if we do that, obviously they'll become immediately disabled. So we just added in there for them. We do a little condition for it doesn't exist, because if it's already disabled, we're not going to go ahead and re-disable it again. This one here prevents SMB from starting, and it's pretty easy. It's just using SC. It's just saying, we're not going to
Don't
allow
let
you
this
to
happen
start.
anymore,
Yep. And on the conditions here, all we're going to do is look for this registry for the condition, and if it's set to 4, we're not going to do anything. Basically, 4 is disabled. 1, 2, and 3 are all a mix of, let's see, what is it? What are the start controls, Chris? Remind me again for service. There's automatic, there's manual,
Delayed.
there's automatic delayed. That's right.
Disable,
Yeah.
there's-
Okay. So basically those 3, and then there's the 4th one. All right. And then this one, disable SMB server. So basically what we're just using here is we're just stopping the SMB server from running at all. And this is for Windows 8, 2012, 8.1. Basically, if they're already a feature, so if it's a feature that's installed, we're just going to stop that. And then finally, we're going to remove the Windows feature. So it's on, surprisingly enough, by default on Windows 8.1, Windows 10, and 2012, 2012 R2. It's on by default as a Windows feature. So this just shuts that down.
Let me just paint an ugly picture here.
Okay.
If you deploy this willy-nilly, just launch it out there, okay, there is a very, very, very good chance, one, you're disabling, you're going to lose communications, and if you can fix the machine that you disabled, it's sneakernet. You're going to have to physically go there and fix it, okay?
Colby did say that you could, perhaps there was a chance, and maybe an alternate universe where you could set up a scheduled task to undo what you had done and make that as part of the
I would
package.
never gamble on that. I mean, there's
yeah.
my new
So it's not 100% guaranteed.
So
but
once again,
you're gonna
guys,
have to go
the warning again, right out there for you, okay?
I think we should change this blog post at the bottom. The disable SMBv1. We should just call it Katie's package of destruction.
Katie's package of destruction, I agree.
It's like you know.
Because it is. I mean, look, it looks so innocuous. It's
Yeah.
just a couple of steps, a little
Yeah.
PowerShell,
No
a
big deal.
line here, a line there.
No,
nothing.
it's like
No,
it's like
nothing.
running RMRF in
Yes,
Linux,
yes.
so.
Well,
Yep.
and the interesting thing, Ned, from Microsoft, you know, I could give you the commands, but people will just run them without reading and knowing what's going to happen.
Yep.
And, you know, he goes, I want to be responsible for that. And again, guys, don't start the apocalypse early, okay?
Yep.
Be judicious about this if you're going to use it.
Yeah, because
All
we
right.
were actually talking about, like, there were scenarios where the downfall of the entire civilization or Skynet or something like that. Yeah.
Skynet
Talking about
runs
that
on
yesterday. Yes.
SMBv1.
This is
It's
really
safe,
the discussion.
it's safer to
now.
walk into like a nuclear test site. Then.
There you go.
Yep.
Hey, Chris, do you want to take us through
Yep.
that PowerShell real quick?
PowerShell.
And Katie's package of destruction. So I'm just going to back off. There's a lot of things up there.
PowerShell.
Do we have a question while Chris is pulling that up?
Dear Lex, Brig, and Chris, can we use inventory to easily find any machines that has SMB1 or SMBv1, or will I need to check with Wireshark only? Sincerely, Kathleen F.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hey. So, kinda?
Yes, that's a good answer.
Kinda.
I can speak to that, and that's kind
Yeah.
of what I'm going to do here.
Yeah.
Which is, so SMB1, so the Wireshark, excuse me, is for actually seeing active communication over
actually is
SMB1.
happening. Yeah.
This is important because you can actually track down what's using it that shouldn't be, or doesn't have to be, I guess I should say.
So, again, if you've got XP machines, your inventory pulls them as XP. It's a pretty easy, it's SMBv1. Again, Linux machines, your Samba shares. I mean, it's so widespread. It's a hard one to answer.
Think of how many machines and devices you have that actually have just a little embedded Linux or embedded Windows XP. All of these are potentially at risk because if they're using old versions of Samba, good luck with that. That's going to be hard to disable because you might actually lose access to that NAS or that SAN. I mean, it's something to be considered before pulling that lever.
Trigger, yeah. Did you say there was another question, JJ? Oh, okay.
Okay. So actually, to answer Kathleen's question here about how do I detect SMB1 in the settings itself. So look for that registry key, especially if you've actually applied that. You can create a registry scanner in inventory. In fact, if we pull up inventory and do that, I'll show you kind of the steps to do that. We'll go into the preferences. We'll go into scan profiles, and if we were to add, we'll just add to applications, but you can add your own new scan profile. But in here, if we wanted to make sure that it was always scanned, we'll add a new registry.
Scanner.
Here is where you specify the patterns we're looking for. And so that path, which I don't have right in front of me, would be, in this case, it would be software, something /
Path
something
to
else.
SMBv1.
SMBv1. And that's what I'm looking for. It'll scan that and give a result. If it exists or not, if it gives the value or not, and then you can build a collection based off this.
Yes, you can.
So the other way to do this, which I'm actually going to show you as part of the package here, is we're using the PowerShell 3 and later commandlets. In fact, this one here, disable Windows optional feature. This is just a wrapper for DISM, for those who are familiar. This is PowerShell's DISM stuff. I'm not sure if the DISM team created them or if someone created it for them, but regardless, DISM. So this should work on just about any machine with PowerShell 3. This one will only work if you actually have a server, SMB server stuff set up, but by looking for these, you can query them. So if we were, for example, here, if we wanted to query SMB, let's see, let me use the highlighter here, enable SMB1 protocol, we can do that. In fact, we can pick a machine here. I like to pick on Jordan's lab machines because it has the term JorLab, and I really find that hilarious.
It's your lab, man.
Actually, let's go up a level here. If we pick a machine here, and we actually want to do a remote command on that,
Just do Jordan's production machine.
Yeah, let's turn his on.
we can use that same command here, a similar command, I should say, because for those who are familiar with PowerShell, the verb-noun setup for commandlets, you might know that disable Windows optional feature, or enable Windows optional feature, or set SMB server configuration, or get SMB server configuration. You might be familiar with those. In fact, locally here, if we run PowerShell and we do all the fun stuff, we can say get SMB, if I can spell, client configuration. We can get that for this machine. You can see all the fun stuff there, which includes, where am I looking for? All the stuff. There was something here that I'm not seeing. It's okay. Maybe it's not this one. Yeah, take a question while I pull this up.
Yeah.
Dear Lex and Chris, if it says SMB in the filter, but then says dialect SMB 2.02, does that mean that we tried to negotiate SMB v1 but got bumped up to 2? Sincerely, Chris L.
Brig, that one's yours, buddy.
Let me come up there.
Jump in there, buddy.
Jump in there. So I'm just going to say that first thing I was showing you, that was negotiation. That's what Brig was explaining, is what's going on. So.
Yep. So that if and the filter says dialect SMB 202, does that mean that we tried to negotiate SMB 1 but got bumped to 2? Not necessarily. It probably means that you tried to and that you got to.
Yeah.
So
start at the top.
Yep. Started there working way down. Yep. So if you've got 3, that's going to be the default. Hey, can you negotiate with this? And the SMB is going to be like, no, I can only do 1. Then
Is that how it really?
That's kind of how our
sort of is. Yeah. If you look at the
PDQ
Wireshark, it's like
works.
Okay, 2.02.
Yep.
Okay.
2.02.
And I think that was a decent answer to the question. So what do you get? You got anything, Chris?
I did. I mistyped the command. I was doing get SMB client configuration. I meant to type get SMB server configuration. This is my folly. So here you can see where it has the enable SMB1 protocol set to true. So that right there. So it was the enable SMB I am not typing on that screen. Enable SMBv1 protocol. True. SMBv1 is enabled. What are we going to do? We can change it according to this package that I'm not going to deploy here live.
We're not going to do it. Yes.
So you can use this command as an example with those machines, and then click stop.
If we change that machine SMBv1 false, now that guy cannot connect to anything XP because it's going to go.
Correct.
Oh, I can't use this, but that's what the other one can use. So we've effectively on this machine made it so it can't talk to anything that can only talk
Yes.
SMBv1.
Or is explicitly set to it. So, that printer, that file, that scan to file share scanner that you're using. Oh, it can't work anymore.
Yeah. So,
Anyway, cool stuff.
well, I think that covers a lot of that, guys. Once again, this XML file that you can download and look through the package. Warning. Warning, warning, do not start the apocalypse.
We can't say that enough. We just can't emphasize that enough.
You want to leave a warning? You should.
All the devices. No, seriously.
To quote Oppenheimer,
Tradition, yes.
Craig?
Yes. I have become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Yes,
Yes,
Oppenheimer.
That's really actually not Oppenheimer. That's you, or could be you.
Could be you.
The
Could be you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're channeling Vishnu.
Your name here.
Just so you know.
Yep. Yeah. Vishnu through Oppenheimer via PDQ and Katie.
Katie and Brig. So,
Do you see? There's an unbroken chain here.
Thanks, Katie.
Yep. Thanks, Katie.
all right,
Destroyer of worlds.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch y'all later.
See ya.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations to a lot of winners. Kathleen F. and Brandon B., winners of the mug and the whiskey tumbler. Congratulations, Patrick B., winner of Lexa's shirt, and Glenn H., winner of the PDQ floppy coaster. Also, we are hiring. Make sure you check this link out, pdq.com/jobs, looking for scripting automation, PDQ product support, and senior IT security. It is a grueling process with homework, but well worth the effort. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.